Good day, friends. I hope you're doing really well. This is Tracy Brown, your trauma-informed dietitian and attuned eating expert. In this video, it's going to be a little different than a lot of videos. It's a little bit more education with a little bit of how-to around a really frustrating topic. And I've been in these shoes too, so I remember the difficulties of having really challenging feelings and thoughts that I actually didn't really even want to have, but they would just pop up, and those feelings and sensations, or those the burdens of recovery were felt, not just in my head, but in sensations and how I held my body, how I moved my body, and of course in behaviors. So what I'm talking about here is when you hear inside your head, when you start the recovery process, or even think about starting the recovery process, and it automatically goes pretty I call it threat responsey, which is hyper-vigilant, or you hear thoughts of like, oh, you're not, exercising as much as you used to, so you're being lazy. What else can I name it? Is you can feel kind of numb or kind of frozen, no energy. Again, hypervigilance is a big one, and lots of critique and criticism about what you're doing, and it often then turns into all or nothing thinking or catastrophic thinking, things like that. So what I'm talking about is these are some of the things that a lot of people that I hear is that if I don't rigidly monitor my food, then I will never stop gaining weight. The emphasis here on the passion around that, and the never, right? The all or nothing thinking. Or I'll never like myself if this is the body I have to be free. That sounds really depressive, right? Or what's some other thoughts? Everybody's looking at me, those kind of things. Anyway, when you're hearing anything that feels very final, that feels very just big and overwhelming, and either really scary, like lots of terror, or lots of rage, or lots of shame, what you're doing is you're connecting. Really, those phrases tell me that we need to connect. We need to connect and be curious and invite that part that says the very terminal things. Where did they get that message? Where did they get that message? What meaning do we make of that? That it's very extreme. What do we notice around that? And what would it be like if we could just look at that? When you look at that part of ourselves that says the very fearful, extreme things, and we get really curious that it's welcome here. I know that's interesting to think about, that you're welcoming really maybe big, scary thoughts, but the truth is, if we don't do that work, what's going to happen? Another thought is like, oh, I'll never be healthy if I don't do this XYZ rigid diet to fix a health condition. When you hear those kind of things, it's coming from a place of like, if I don't control everything, I'll get hurt again. So the extremes are coming from a part of us that holds all the experiences and the memories and the sensations of difficult times in the past, and that's kind of how we coped, and that had to get like shoved under the bed, basically. And the more we ignore it, the more it gets extreme to be seen and to be listened to be cared for, all those kind of things. So anyway, I want you to be curious. Like, do you have any thoughts or behaviors that like you don't seem to be able to manage, or to like tell yourself I shouldn't do that, or I shouldn't think that way? Maybe we try something different instead, which is invite that part to tell you like, well, like, when did this happen to you? That you had to think in this extreme way, because physiologically, the body doesn't continuously gain weight. We all have a range. We have a set point range in which our bodies want to be in. Now that might not match something that we experience or we're told that we had to be acceptable. So maybe there's some fear in here right now, not being what other people told us we had to be to belong. There's a lot in here going on. So anyway, I know this is sometimes a challenge to do on our own, but you can. You could definitely start with something as simple as a sheet of paper, draw a line down the middle, and just start to have a conversation with yourself about the ways in which, let's say you have a statement like in your head, I guess to recover, that means I have to give up the body I want. Let's say you say something like that, and and you can feel it when somebody says it to you. You're like, oh, that sounds kind of sad and depressed, because what does having a body that you want have anything to do with what you look like? Being lovable, right? You can hear it, but when you're in it, it's hard to understand. And then you might have another part of yourself that says, oh, like, get over that. It doesn't really matter anyway. You're supposed to do the right thing. You might hear that. And you can see how there's a conflict here versus if we can get curious about the part of us that criticizes us for how we feel, and looking at the part that really just believes that there's no other way out, and they just feel sad and feels bad about, let's say weight gain. And so it's really important for us as the adult, as the one that can do a bird's eye view, if possible. If you can't do this by yourself, please get some support and assistance to do this so you can get unstuck, is to get really clear, like, oh gosh, okay, that's a big burden to hold, that that all by yourself, do you have to control like every bodily function so that like you won't get criticized? Like, when did that happen to you? And then we'll have a memory usually of like that untenable dilemma we got put in, and maybe we can let that be unburdened, that like, oh, I couldn't have possibly have done that. Oh, our bodies, our body weight's just kind of like, other things in nature that, kind of, we're not fully in control of. So that doesn't mean you ever should have had to be in control. That must have been really hard. And having those kind of conversations with ourselves, and then being able to recognize, oh, well, maybe the people or the systems in place that did this, gave me this advice or pressured me or did this to me, actually didn't know better. In fact, it was hurtful. And I can let myself off the hook. Like, we can move on now, because I know that when I eat actually regularly and from hunger and fullness and eat with full permission, that actually I become more physically, mentally, emotionally stable. So I think I'm going to do that, because this other way caused me really just to have to feel down and worried all the time about being criticized and doing it wrong. Well, maybe I was never wrong in the first place. That's where we want to get to, is like, oh, we're all on the same page here. So I hope this video was helpful. I think that, I always, want to offer like the how-tos about how to do this work, when it's not just as simple as like, stop dieting, stop binging, stop dieting to fix binging, and really slow down and have an experience of your food that's different. What's going to happen is when you do either the right thing, it's still different. And it's still different to the parts inside of us that didn't have any other solution to their dilemma of being overwhelmed or criticized or hurt or abused or whatever, with food and body, and had to do something. And this is what the choice was. And now we just are offering new options, but we don't understand that this is these old wounds don't mean to sabotage our current efforts. It's just that's how I know to keep protected. But if we are the ones that contact them, that part that is scared to do recovery and doesn't know how to handle what other people are going to say or think about that, then of course it's going to be hard to like be smooth sailing with the intuitive eating process. So this video is to help you understand, one, what might be going on for you if you're struggling. Two, just a little taste, a little flavor of the process, so that you can maybe try something different. If you need more support, reach out below. Reach out in the comments below. I'll put a couple links down there too, though you can have some other tools to help you get going. So I'm going to put probably 2 or 3 links down there that you can maybe learn more. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the blog post that we have cooked up for you about this topic on Saturday. So we'll see you replay the video there then, and then blog post on Saturday. So thank you so much for watching, and bye for now.